All right, welcome back to the channel. Gonna keep going on this C4 manual swap. We're pulling the 4L60E out, replacing it with a ZF 6-speed. For today's video, we're gonna go over removing the transmission, the auto transmission. So you can see our 4L60E up there, tucked away. So we've got quite a few things we got to get out of the way first. So we'll be doing a time lapse on this. First thing we're going to do is pull this exhaust system out. Like I said, this is a exhaust system from a company that's no longer in business called Slick Flow. Been a pretty good exhaust system for me. Thing is, I have taken it off a couple times. It is always a pain in the ass to get off the header. So have a pretty good time lapse of me ripping the exhaust off. Then once we get there, we will be pulling the C-beam out, which there's 2 bolts back here that go into the rear diff, and then 2 in the front on the back of the transmission. So that'll come out next, along with the drive shaft. So you can see we've got our 2 straps, 4 bolts on each side. Then we can get that out of the way. We'll have to remove the dust cover, 3 torque converter bolts, and then we'll go over removing the trans bolts. Something a little bit different on my car. Like I said, I do have this rear mounted trans cooler. This actually makes removing the transmission a little bit easier, but all of this is going to be coming off the car anyways, and it's not going to be going back. But what that does, it makes it easier for me. Once we get the exhaust out, I can show you a little better. Normally you have hard transmission lines that run from the transmission itself up to the radiator. But since I don't have those, I've just got that soft, I believe it's 6AN line. Allows me to get the transmission down and then take the fittings off, take the trans cooler off from there, which is much easier than dealing with those hard lines in this tight space up there. So other than that, I'm going to get a time lapse rolling and start ripping some things apart. Come up to something I want to talk about. We'll stop the time lapse and get a little bit more detailed on it. So we are just a couple bolts away from this transmission being out. All the electrical's undone, so that's my trans temp gauge, It's called the VSS, vehicle speed sensor, shifter linkage, and then the main harness is off. See all my trans cooler lines here. So what I did is I broke all 6 bolts loose, 3 on each side, but the bottom ones are still in, and that's the only 2 bolts holding it in. I don't have a good trans jack, unfortunately. One of the only tools I don't have. So I'm going to show you how I do it. It's not the greatest, but it works. So I've just never bought one. But basically, we're going to lower the car all the way down to where I can get the transmission on some cribbing. Then I'll slide underneath the car on a creeper, undo those last 2 bolts, and pick the car up off the transmission rather than actually lowering the transmission. So go ahead and do that now, and then I'll show you, do a full video of those last 2 bolts coming out and the car going back up over it. Alright, so transmission's down. You can see on this cribbing, I've got probably 36 inches of room underneath here, enough to where I can pick my head up. Just enough weight to where the transmission starts to move up about 1 inch, so it's kind of in line. Nothing's bound up with the engine. We'll take these last 2 bolts out. I'll have to slide the transmission back about 1 inch to get it off of the dowel pins that are in the block. And then we'll be able to lift the car up off the transmission. Alright, just like that, it is free. So go up a little bit at a time. I do got to watch the bell housing around the exhaust. It will not fit directly down behind it, so we'll go up, slide trans back a little bit, up a little bit more, and then it'll be out. is it. Transmission is out. Be pulling this out, cleaning up some of this wiring that's not needed, so we'll reuse this for the vehicle speed sensor. So that'll pick up our speedometer, which we'll have to tune for. This, however, we don't need anymore. So I'll probably trace that back, trim that wiring out, or at least tie it up, maybe not cut it completely out, just so we don't have to worry about any weird stuff going on. Trans dipstick is loose, pull it out. Then flex plate's got to come off and be replaced with a flywheel. Got to install a pilot bearing, which I have, so we'll get that installed once we do the flywheel. But gonna leave the flex plate for now. Don't plan on ordering the flywheel. Gonna see if I can get a good Black Friday deal since we're coming up on that. So I'll leave this up on it until we get that, so no trash oil can get in and out of the engine. C-beam, got to pull it the rest of the way out, just got to slide forward. So for the rear diff, I am going to leave this until very last, just for weight in the car. Don't want to pull this out and there not be any weight back here and it tip over. So we're going to wait until we got the manual trans and all that put back in. Then probably strap the car down to the lift just to keep it from potentially falling off or tipping over. But when we do that, I am going to replace all the U-joints and these prop shafts. Do have a new set of bars, better adjustability for the strut bars. So these are going to come out. Yeah, other than that, just a couple bolts away from that coming out too. So that's a relatively easy job. But that's going to end it off for today. Don't know for sure when the next video will be or what it's going to be, because I need to get this tunnel trimmed out. You can see where the pocket is for where the auto shifter was. So here's what I was talking about, the aluminum to the fiberglass. So it's going to be trimmed somewhere along in there. But like I said, I do want to wait until I get the manual transmission kind of somewhat butted up there so that I can see where it's going to go. Probably will do a video of at least trimming this out, where roughly where the transmission shifter is going to go, so that I can get that in there and then we can finish cutting it and mocking everything up. But might be a bit for my next video on that, just because waiting on the flywheel, waiting on a few other parts to come in. And in the meantime, going to be doing some cleaning, so probably won't worry about doing all that on video. As you can see, my Dana 44, I've already started to clean up a little bit. Got the old bushings pushed out and cleaned. So we are going to install some of these Prothane bushings, real hard bushings in it. These are the bushings I have throughout the rest of the car, so we'll be putting those in. Here's the new strut rods for the rear. Yeah, I'm going to do on the rear diff, I'm going to drill and tap a plug on it so that you can drain it. Makes it easier when doing rear diff changes. Rather than vac sucking the fluid out, you can just pull a plug and drain it. So I'll do a video on that as well as I go through cleaning this up. And then we've got to clean the transmission up as well. So it's pretty nasty, so I'm going to go through, maybe do a whole time lapse on cleaning this off. Got to drain the fluid in it. Might put some fluid in it to let it sit and then drain that again, just to make sure it's all nice and fresh. A couple things on this. Vehicle speed sensor goes back here, so that's what's going to stay. Skip shift, I'm going to leave this solenoid in here, but it's not going to get hooked up. I'm going to tune that out, so don't have to worry about the skip shift. And then this is going to be the reverse lights, so might start doing the wiring on that as well. But other than that, the car is pretty much apart, minus the tunnel, and we'll be going back together. So really probably full day and a half's worth of work so far to get to this point. Probably have another Was working on it solid. Probably another 3 days to a week. Could have this thing buttoned up and driving down the road. But like I said, I'm gonna take my time and clean everything, and gonna kind of wait for some parts. Wait for those Black Friday deals. Hopefully, get a little bit off on clutch and flywheel, since that's right around $1,000 for that kit. And get you know, even like a 10% off or something, it'd be worth it. So look forward to getting this done, and we will see you back in the next video.